Hey, Rick, Money Rouse and 20. I'm back here for another wonderful zombie video. In the background, we should have some wonderful mod gameplay. Hopefully, it's a very interesting map. But in the meantime, I want to talk about the Call of Duty Zombies comic. So much came out in just a little time. Before release, there was nice early access you could get on the iTunes iBook store. You could purchase for $4.99. On our recent edition of Zombros, we did talk about this at some length, but I wanted to, in detail, break down the whole comic book for you guys. But I will not be showing many or any images for that matter, depending on how I edit this video, because I want to avoid any copyright issues, and I also don't think it's very fair to the creators of the comic book who go through all that time and effort, money, and all those labor hours to create, make, and publish this for somebody just to take their artwork, put it online, and make money off it. I just don't think that's really cool. It's one thing to criticize and try and do feedback, even though that's what I'm doing, but still I want to respect their craft. I want to talk about the Nuketown loading screen to start off here. What's really interesting about the Nuketown loading screen is it identifies Dr. Schuster in the bottom right-hand corner where you see one of those operators. You can see his tag as you zoom in on your iPhone or whatever comic you might have. It's not as clear until you get up close and personal and you actually see the name tag, which makes us wonder what's going on. If you don't know who Dr. Schuster is, that is a scientist that was a part of Group 935 in the Moon radios from Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and the final DLC, Resurrection, the Moon map, if you're unfamiliar with any of that stuff. There's some people who have joined later on, so for the viewers rolling their eyes at home, people have started this at very different places, and I want to make sure to cover all bases as best I can.
Log 1075. Dr. Schuster and I have spent countless hours with the pyramid device in an attempt to understand how it functions. We have made little progress until now. Today, we uncovered what looks to be some kind of tank with a glass-like front. The glass itself seems... I've got you now, Rat. Kill it, Schuster. Did you see that? Look, the capacitor is illuminated. The tank is filling. The machine. It seems to be activated. What did you do? I think we just discovered what powers this machine.
This doctor was in these radios with Dr. Groff, who we did meet in Black Ops 3. We saw him in the Horizon Drock Easter egg, and he was helping Groff test all these things and figure out the real device and all the crazy experiments that happened on Moon. He was the right-hand man of Groff, who was the lead scientist of Griffin Station, which is the Moon base. Interesting to see him show up now, and I wonder what kind of impact that will have later on. I know a certain viewer did point that out to me on Twitter, so I do want to thank them, and I do appreciate you pointing that out to me. Next, it's still unclear if this is underwater, but we do see clouds in the background, so it kind of puts it now, hey, this may be above ground. This drilling site might fit in with the Nuketown idea, but then since Schuster is drilling, how does that fit in with Group 935, the Nuketown site, Broken Arrow, Jackass Flats, all these different groups, the Area 51 site on Moon? How are they all existing in their worlds? Are they coexisting, or is it a little more complicated than what we originally thought? What's awesome about that loading screen and the actual release of the comic book is it now gets a chance to explain all of Jimmy Zielinski's zombies that doesn't make sense or had difficulties with making anything canon. What I find interesting on this loading screen layout is there are all these orbs that could resemble robots similar to Sophia's model. Maybe these were prototypes before her, and that's how Maxis knew to store her in there after she gets bit, and a radio we learn about inside the map Revelations, and so on and so forth. And I think that might be an interesting idea to explore, that all those floating little orbs could be prototypes that are just mindless drones that help dig from 935. I mean, they created the Valkyrie drones, why couldn't they create those spheres to do more stuff? And eventually we upgraded it to the point at which we were able to put Sophia inside it, which was cool. Also, I know Milo was very much about them being bubbles and working underwater. It just doesn't seem that way at this point. It was a really cool idea at first when he pointed out to Jason Blundell, and Jason made some hints about it, but it would seem he was leading us down a different path. The real truth of it in the comic book seems to be above ground, which again gets back to what I was just talking about, connecting all these other dots. So let's start getting into the comic and the storyline and everything that was going on inside that. It was so refreshing to enjoy this. Now, I am older at this point in my life, and I remember seeing comics like this because you get used to seeing your characters in a certain way, in a certain light, and when you see comics and artist impressions of certain characters, you might not take to that immediately. So I definitely heard a lot of people being upset about the fact, like, hey, guess what? I don't like the way these characters look. They make all these crazy faces. The comic book's not appealing. I think it's something you sort of grow into, to be honest with you. Comics are supposed to be expressive. They're supposed to be exciting and all that stuff. And this is a great medium that they can reach us so we can really enjoy Call of Duty Zombies and all the craziness of the storyline in a simpler way. When you have these comics books, it makes the story so much easier. You get more characterization. You can have character arcs. This is incredibly wonderful that this is a possibility, and it's only going to build the lore. And with mods, there's so much we can accomplish. It's just very, very exciting to me to see how much time and effort has gone into thinking about the comic book storyline, writing the comic book storyline, and then properly illustrating it. So I do want to say I enjoy where this is going. Into the nitty-gritty of it, it would seem the timeline is before Buried's endgame, after Transit, possibly even after Die Rise. It makes sense that our characters teleport in just like they did in Die Rise. We see that in the beginning of this comic book, and so it mimics the intro of Die Rise. And it would make sense it actually complements the intro of Buried, where our characters are fighting in all these different places and cities. You might be even able to match up everything that's going on inside. I haven't seen the edit yet, but what the city area is and like the bunker, clearly there's been time here. They found a weapon cache in the city as they reintroduced our characters for the first time in this comic book series. This city is something we might have seen in the Buried intro, which is curious to me because this could be their way of filling in the blanks. Now, there's plenty of rumors going on that the next comic book is going to be about Broken Arrow and start fleshing out that storyline we never got, and maybe even more of the flesh. But we'll get into more of those ideas later on in this video. I want to continue talking about the timeline and how this really started off the comic book. The tone was set early on because they spawn into this city. It's a teleportation that Richtofen uses, and we are introduced to our characters. Misty is a leader of the group. She loves killing zombies and very much has the personality of World at War Dempsey. We see her take on those traits. Marlton seems to have a character remodel, and he is less dorky. He has an incredible vocabulary, which fits the character so darn well, and is a extreme tech expert at this point where he's useful in a sense. It's hard for me to even picture the old voice of Marlton in my head because when I read the comic book, I see such a drastically different character. He looks similar. I seriously love the remake of Marlton in the comic books. It was a much needed facelift. It's just like Takio's upgrade when he was one of the most boring characters to one of the most interesting characters in his entire span from World at War to Black Ops 3. Then you have Russman, who talks in third person constantly. He is a hulking mass of a person now, and he seems pretty crazy because of his lost memories. He keeps losing himself within whether he doesn't know where he's at, he's hungry, and the little things they were playing off there, or just his joy of killing zombies. And then Stu is the definition of batshit crazy, talking to Richtofen in his head and literally just going nuts all the time. He fits the crazy character fine, and he is a dork and a half. That's the only problem I have is there's a scene where Russman and Stuhlinger are fighting zombies and they're doing all these badass moves and things you couldn't even like imagine our characters doing, let alone these common civilians. I know that's appealing to some people, like, hey, they're common civilians, it's so cool, I can relate to that. I don't know, crazy Stu being able to dual wield weapons and switch off to these guns and shoot all these zombies just seems so out of character to me. But otherwise, everything sticks really well with the game, and that's why a problem I had with the original Transit characters anyway, is that they didn't really fit well. Like Misty, maybe she's a farm girl, you know, family taught her how to shoot and stuff like that. Well, you get that gun stuff. Marlton, originally he's a nerd and just like he doesn't even like guns. It doesn't make any sense in Transit. But then you get into this character where you can believe, oh, he's an engineer. He works with weapon technology. He worked on Broken Arrow. Maybe he was a part of some kind of group that he was doing all kinds of weapons research. That's why he's involved. All right, I can buy that. Russman, clearly involved with something in the past. Fine. Stu's just a crazy guy. He's just some crazy conspiracy guy with a fanny pack. It's just like, what qualifications does this guy have? But I digress. The comic is clearly a mission from the Richtofen of this universe, and it seems like it's still the buried Richtofen that we knew in Black Ops 2, and Stu is listening to him verbatim, and they seem to be following Richtofen's grand scheme in this universe. We see this because Richtofen provides portals to and from this area that they're at. Stu's quote, "I did what you told me to do. This wasn't the deal. We had a deal." He had to pick up some items that was made clear in some quotes later on between the characters just as they're about to leave. Richtofen is sending our characters, the transit crew, to go pick up certain items for some plan we don't know about. We are not sure this is Richtofen that we know, especially at the end. People have made connections that the next evolution of zombie that gets pointed out in the comic book isn't a form of the Nazi Richtofen that's killing the giant. That's a connection people like to make. I don't know. It's possible. I don't see it just yet, but I won't rule it out, though, because you do see a swastika on his arm, a band, and you see him in the Nazi uniform. Where did he come from? Why is he showing up in this section? Very, very interesting deal there. So let's get into that zombie in particular. He dodges bullets. He has a chance to organize and control zombies. We have seen similar traits in maps after Ascension. You would see the dodge roll when you'd aim down sights. They would try and get out of the way. We've seen Brutus and Mount of the Dead sort of rally zombies behind him, but nothing quite like this comic has illustrated to us, which is cool. I mean, hey, the next evolution of zombies, as Richtofen has explained to Stuhlinger. And we see how he comments about it to introduce our characters. We have this Richtofen, but it's so hard to tell which one it is. Is this specific Richtofen being influenced by our Origins Richtofen? Something to keep in mind. Then we again see the bunker is established. This is some kind of place they've been for weeks looking for stuff, or there was somebody before them setting up this whole facility, as they have all these traps and preparation and all these monitors Marlton's working off. Really, really cool. Overall, the message of this was to introduce our characters, hint at some things, give us some ciphers in game. I'm not going to discuss the ciphers in this video right now because I don't have them in front of me, but overall the comic was fun. I really enjoyed it. For $4.99, it was excellent. For 25 pages, this was an excellent comic. Most comics aren't that long. I remember getting 99-cent comics when I was younger and being disappointed when it was only like 10 pages long and being like, well, what was this? I'm so upset. But you get what you pay for $4.99 fully illustrated. It's just wonderful. It's exactly what I expected out of this. A lot of people get these ridiculous expectations when they start saying, hey, I want a graphic novel. That's not what we're going to get, and I don't know many to any comic books that get to 50, 60 pages that aren't massive projects and don't cost $20. If you look at like the really cool Injustice universe or the Infinity War universe, like Marvel and DC lead the comic book world, all right? And if you look at those hardcover comic books or even some of the non-hardcover comic books and their length of how much they are, they're expensive. This is $4.99, 25 pages to the point, no advertisements counted in those pages. It fleshed out our characters and characterized them in such a wonderful way. You got some arc building, your backstory, you have so much going on, you have hints at the future and filling in the gaps in between zombies. This was an awesome start for me. I was really a big fan of this comic book series, and I hope it continues to be as interesting as it is. For a person like me, it's wonderful. It thrives. But with some people that are looking for the Revelations ending, they're still trying to look for these ideas that everything needs to be explained verbatim and really spelled out in such ridiculous ways. This is not for them. You're not going to have a good time if you're looking for an explanation to all zombies. Not at all. This is very much more of the same storyline stuff we're getting to see, except now we have illustrations, which is wonderful. And I love what they've done with that, and I hope they continue to grow. There's plenty of room to flop here. Treyarch had tons of missed opportunities in Revelations. Hopefully these comic books can make up for it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Tell me, how'd you feel about the comics? Were you a fan of what you saw if you did get to read them yet? Do you like where it's going? Do you like the art style? I'd love to know your opinions down below. It's very interesting to me to see how all this came to be and where we've come. There's no way there should have been a comic book in the past. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, subscribe. All kinds of zombie content to come out. We have wonderful zombies in Spaceland around the corner. We have more comics. We have zombie mods coming. So much interesting stuff coming your way. Stick around. It'll be a great time. I hope you did enjoy the video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. A special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, especially Matt, Hunter17, Logan, and Davo. On screen, you can check out the previous Zombros episode. On Rad Plays, you can check out my current Modern Warfare Remastered Let's Play. I'm really enjoying that. And you can go check out another wonderful zombie video on Rad Austin 27. If you want to continue to support me, you can go over to Patreon and get some benefits, get some videos ad-free, and be a part of Patreon streams. I hope you do enjoy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!